Hi, Capricorn. Second part to your reading. I'll find a better setup for this next month. Probably change it up again, but I really wanted to get to these readings. So, as we can see, what's really important here is that your connection, knowing that your connection to yourself and to who you are already is not being compromised. It's not being necessarily challenged unless you decide to see it that way, of course. It will feel uncomfortable, perhaps, at times. And to an extent, I guess you could call it compromising. But it's really just a reshaping. A bunch of cards just fell out. From the Four of Pentacles to the Seven of Cups to the Six of Cups is that it looks like whatever's coming next, whatever's behind, sorry about all the noise, this Ace of Cups energy, just getting myself situated, you are and could be catapulted to the long run. You take one of those ideas or way or false hope, false expectation, or just something that a part of the idea is to be able to create it. Maybe you're looking for a sign. Maybe you have been, maybe you didn't realize, and then all of a sudden, again, this connection, a connection maybe delivers you the news that you need to hear. If you've been overthinking, it's this space where you find yourself unable to, and this communication interaction can almost change your life. You're just like, wow, that's pretty intense, but it's true. And this doesn't have to be subwood. This could be a very spiritual experience that you have with receiving a message you've been needing to receive. And maybe it comes through a person, of course, Capricorn. But however, it could absolutely come through your own mind. If you remember that the mind is a space where a lot of information has gathered, comes and goes, receives, sometimes misinterprets. And all of a sudden you find yourself more free in the mind. All of a sudden you're seeing all the steps it takes. You feel capable of this responsibility because what was in the way, and maybe it was this false sense of security, wherever that has come from. And again, now maybe you just feel, what I believe what happens is that we feel safer to explore. My cats are playing and fighting and both. And when you're in it for the long haul, you have to be able to allow certain things to be shown to yourself, to others, to another, maybe not to others, but another. And also give yourself the opportunity to grow with your grand ideas, wherever it is that you're going. And what's quickly closing is this sense of stubbornness of how you get somewhere, how you do something, how something is developed, how someone becomes who they are. you realize the stubbornness that you have about some things, and it's really important that it's addressed, because in case you didn't know, flexibility is the key to making relationships last, healthy relationships, and then flexibility is also the key to health. You can look into that if you need to. It's one of the keys. Keep yourself young. Now, if you don't want to be young, that's fine. But this is closing out that chapter of things have to always look some type of way. And yes, it helps keep order. But the truth is the only order you can keep is within you. Even if you are a business owner or a manager or whatever, you run something kind of company, or you're building something, or you're a part of it. Wow, lots of cards. Messages on messages for you. Venus and Taurus is like, well, it's okay that some of this stuff happens, because in the end, you know that you're capable of handling it. Capable of handling any consequences, any things that you need to do, because what you're handling now looks like what's stopped you from seeing beyond is some grief. Could be about a Sagittarius in your life, and it could make you feel like, you know, so much is closing. But here's the gorgeous thing, that these cups turn into the two behind you. Let's show them. Oh, the two here, the two behind you. Wow. Unfortunately, this person or situation or moment of this moment's truth, you start to tamper with these ideas, and you start to understand, or maybe come from a different perspective with your emotions, and maybe it's a mothering that you need to do with yourself, and these cups that were once together are now waiting for you to make something of this. Something that drives you forward, and this could be a family for some of you, remember. And maybe that deep purpose becomes being able to pass on something different. You know, something that on its own legs, and you break it down from 4 to 2 because you're funny. You'll be able to do that. See, what Aries knows is that it could start something, and then once the building needs to happen, what they need will come along the way. They trust. They have a deep sense of trust, because there's this spontaneity that goes farther than just the risk taking and the adrenaline, because that will never keep you. That's an addiction. It's the drive to create something. And then why they want to create is up to them. In my perspective, it's because why bother living instead? The first cardinal sign, and you're the last, still have something to learn from each other. We have a lot of Sagittarian energy here, Mercurial energy as well, so we'll get into that in a moment. But let's break this down. Your luck comes from the foundation that you build and what you set yourself out to be in. Yes, of course, there's accomplishments, but it's this ability to have trust and love, whether it's in front of people or behind closed doors. The one thing with you that can be true more than ever right now is that this is real. This is a real, true thing, that there is no hiding. And whatever was hiding, this insight, whatever brings and comes out of this can be something very daunting. But it's because of this that this can happen. There's your equation. And that's how this always is, truthfully. That, yeah, it's a lot of depicted symbolism, and I'm giving you information through me from what I know, but even if it doesn't wrap up nicely, we always get some kind of a bow I don't mean to be so bold here. It's just coming out of me. And Mercury moves into Taurus on the 15th, and that's why this is prepping you for that time, because we have this conjunction before then. Pluto goes into retrograde in Aquarius, but eventually enters your sign. We're under the guise of the new moon. It's the post new moon vibes at this moment, like the full-on intensity. In just about a week, few days from when this comes out, Mercury will then move into Taurus, and you want to create something from this. This isn't just an insight or an idea, it's a revelation, it's an experience. It opens your psyche in a way that you have been protecting yourself from this kind of energy. Why, Capricorn? Why have you been protecting yourself from this kind of energy? Because it's you know how much change comes along with it. And oh boy, isn't this a theme. Not just with you. I'm not saying that specifically with you in your life, but other signs at this time. It unlocks something within you. And before I even realized, when I was looking at the cards, I already said it. This moment is different, but the Tower moment and the lightning and the thunder is knowing something, a big change is coming. Lightning is the psyche, right? And how you handle the situation to come. You almost see it. Some of you may have a dream, legit vision. You can almost see the problem right before, and it almost terrifies you. You're already healing so much. If you want your deepest healing, if you're going to get there, if Pluto is going to move through you and have you master it, you are a very psychic sign. If you didn't know that, here I am breaking it to you. And sometimes the psyche needs direction and trust, and more than just this communication of facts. Right? The psyche isn't just totally based off facts yet. The magician says yet. And your skills will get even clearer, and your purpose will get even clearer, and the way ahead will become even clearer. But something's breaking this veil. That's where it comes from, no? And if this comes from a realization about a person, about a situation, about someone you've had to maybe deeply grieve, or a few different people, the reason why is there's a stubbornness that had happened that you created from protecting yourself, protecting your heart, protecting your experience. This is going to be the driving force of years to come, and you have reached a goal, and you may find yourself feeling emotional and shedding tears, and you may have a moment with yourself that you will relay to others, a moment with another person who gets to see you in this way. You will also have to acknowledge some things that you have, the role you've played in the situation, of course. But I think you think that's a given, but I'm just reminding you. However, the glee or the bliss that you can feel, you're like bliss, but there's a Tower moment. It's like, yeah, but there's an accomplishment, Capricorn. And I think before you feel that, you are still feeling how something could have almost felt like a predator and prey energy between you and that situation. If that was the case, Capricorn, and you need extra care around that, don't be afraid to reach out for help, like I said in the beginning. For others of you, it's just unlocked something that you didn't realize that you made a choice to lay dormant a while ago, kind of a reiteration in a different way of what we were just talking about. And you're like, well, what the fuck does Taurus season want from me? Like, I want to use this luck properly. Well, it is. It will be. It looks like you use it exactly the instinctual way that you will need to. and these Taurus placements, right? By then, Gemini will have entered the building by the 20th. But this is really allowing you this place to remain calm and remain settled in a way that you feel that you're in your worthy space, where something just as worthy from laying dormant comes to light. I'm saying everything before I even really read the cards. Like, yeah. I'm even scared too sometimes of the accuracy of the moment. This brings new life for those of you who are creating new life. I'm about to cry. I don't know where this is coming from. Oh, I remember what I wanted to tell you, and this is where this is coming from. Something's created out of death. So if you are creating physical life of a person, then you will have to change and shift and say goodbye to the person that you were and was. If this is some of you who see the person in front of you changing before your eyes, that's an experience you're also going through as well. If this is an idea unveiling, creation, something you've been working on, something you will continue to work on, however, it's starting to take form in some kind of way that will add great value to your life now and furthermore. Something that you get to then pass along. And regardless of what it is, Capricorn, hasn't that always been a dream of yours? I recently received a necklace in perfect timing, as everything is, and we hope it would be. It was once a ring, an opal ring, the one I wear during the readings. And it was my Capricorn grandmother's, born on Christmas. What up? R.I.P. I love you. It was supposed to be given to me on a significant birthday. She passed 6 years ago. I was traveling, and I recently received it from someone who is really important to me. A godparent who actually played a pretty good role. Nothing too in proximity and location, but someone who always made me feel like an individual and treated me kindly with respect to one of my dad's youngest sister. There's 6 of them, and there's so many granddaughters, and each of us got something, and they turned the ring for me, and I recently received it, and in a certain way it was very significant from a message I received a few months ago in Capricorn season at that. You will hear my cat making noises because he's just letting us know that he's going to be doing some business, you know what I'm saying? But whatever it is, you're ready to take this into an even deeper phase, which will have you contemplating life, right? Something so significant, a milestone, receiving something. Again, receiving even an idea, something finally clicks and comes together, and now you can really set on to the next adventure of this and create something. It's just really important that you're clear with where you're at. Something also may come to you at this time that you know is more out of ego with someone, but it's very clear here that the communication is iffy at the moment. This may be this Mars energy communicating before it moves into Gemini. That's Venus. Venus before Venus moves into Gemini, or as Venus moves into Gemini, another mercurial sign, and as Mercury is in Taurus, that there might be something of significance there that with Mars and Aries begins to communicate to you, unless there's someone in your life that you haven't trusted or have been iffy about, especially if it's that Virgo energy again, or a Gemini energy, or someone that you know that there's something of a deeper connection. Something finally comes to light and is able, conversation is finally able to be made, and it's through this process that you're able to then hear, listen, and communicate well, and it couldn't be until now. So know that as you venture out, you realize that's so important, that this actually becomes less important or less on your mind, which doesn't make it less significant when it finally comes back and resolves itself. There could just be a lot of miscommunication, and if, people are trying to, you won't even notice if people are trying to like get your attention this month. But it looks like this communication, this relationship, it can get resolved rather quickly, as long as you guys are very just honest and open and direct and clear, especially about also the kind of relationship you're both wanting and willing to have. This could be someone very close to you. This could be, again, a lover, a relationship. Either way, something shows up and reveals itself as to why it's been the way it is, and now it's revealing itself, and you learn that, that control can only be that is managed. It's not something that you can actively, have a call and response on. It comes out when it needs to come out, and what comes out is that we all have this persona of ourselves, of who we are when we want to leave certain things behind. And under the guise of the new moon, which is happening and has happened by the time this comes out, shows you that you have to be willing to depart, right? You need to, maybe the person that you're close to, you're so used to relying on each other, or there's some things there, and sometimes it's important, some people, to remove themselves so that they don't make matters worse, because sometimes it's not about you, and this is also about you. It's not about you as much as it is about you, and it will show you, where it's important to be very understanding at this time, while also claiming what's important to you, but then reflecting on what that means when in regard to relationships and others, where you have also maybe not realizing where you're misinterpreting how this person is reflecting a part of you even. This could be just a dominating figure in your life, someone who has had a lot of experience, someone who has shown up as very opposite ends of the spectrum, and now you're like bringing shit together and certain things are starting to make sense. And especially the more you dive deeper into what your beliefs are and how they manifest physically, and how they make you very focused on how you feel and what you would claim to be negative, but the truth is it's just the shadow, what Carl Jung would say and has said about the tarot. Is just the shadow, the subconscious parts of you that are being revealed. Aries would be in your 6th house of career. For Capricorn risings, with anyone with like a a fixed chart. Or wait, no, it would be in your 4th house. My bad. Which are, close family, caregivers, foundations, home. So this could be a caregiver for sure that you're needing to communicate with, right? This could also be Gemini, that's the work, that's the house of work and your health. So maybe something about your health brings about this conversation, right? Maybe something about your work or working together or your day-to-day life brings about this conversation. Maybe. And which coincides with where Virgo would be in your chart, Capricorn, which is, your philosophy on life, how you're like, this is whether or not you consider this education, it is. And you're beginning to educate yourself more in these ways and understandings for yourself. It will also affect anything around money that hasn't been cleared up as well. You might start to see a flow, an influx. And the Temperance and the Magician also portray the 12th house, Sagittarius in your 12th house. Your hidden life, right? The sorrow, the loss you have felt. So that's something you could be experiencing even more so, especially around the full moon in Sagittarius coming up right after Gemini season begins. The full moon is a few days after, and that helps maybe even solidify even clearer all in which you've been wondering and questioning. My little kitty wants to come up, but I don't want to have him jump right there. And so all of this really makes sense, and towards the end of the month into Gemini season, that's where you're going to have to put it all into play. Because remember I said there weren't many majors? Well, now there are. And you're going to have to acknowledge, some big things about where you are not strong and where what your vices are, what your coping mechanisms are that can turn into vices, and what actually works. And now that you're not being as stubborn, you maybe don't find that you for lack of a better word, OD in any way, or have an excess amount of something. And if you have, that also comes to light too, because you are technology and you are clearing up some things, maybe cleaning the system, refreshing, restarting, rebooting, whatever. And you're feeling more capable of, again, this is about physically materializing something, or the next step of something in your life, and your skills and your tools that you have and the way that you utilize them and communicate them with other people. It'll become very clear that that's something, maybe even teaching that of some sort becomes the way of your future, or weaves its way into your purpose, into the career that you already are, because you will get more recognition for your career as you move forward as well. And you'll have to use all of which we are learning here now, which you are learning here now. And Mars needs to communicate a lot to you, so it's important to be clear or have space in your body and your mind, relaxation time, restful periods, so that you don't overwork, so that you're, then slightly combative, and yet you're not. Maybe at work you're just like, I'm not in the mood today, like just let me jam out over here. Maybe you work something out, or you're just honest with people so they know where you're at, right? That levels things out a little bit more. And then you're focused on, oh my God, applying this risk, applying in which you've learned. You're not just building, you're not just waiting, you're not hiding. You are illuminating, you are capable, you are so strong, and you know that, but I feel like you need those reminders right now. Whatever comes your way, you're prepared, you have been. It's time to let go and allow. I feel like any mastery will say that to you, like you just kind of got to start. It's like doing anything. Got to start somewhere. I love you so much. See you next month.